okay? I am the boss Chris. This is my co-host Andrew, the boxing brain.
Wallet.
And the topic of the day is the main event, the Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn, the fight that we've been waiting for about 3
The
years,
aftermath.
whatever. Now, the aftermath. What's happened the next day? Now everyone's calmed down. People have rewatched the fight. Blah blah blah. Take it away.
Oh man, I could have gone on and on and on with asking for with writing questions for this, and I thought, right, let's not go too mad here, because so I've sort of condensed it a little bit. Yeah. Let's start. Do you want to start with where we break this down? Should we start with Benn or Eubank Jr. first? Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with the winner.
Start with the winner, Eubank Jr. Right, loads of no particular order, so let's just go with this one. If he carries on his career, which I'm assuming he will, although there's been lots. I think he was in the hospital with a suspected broken jaw. Bit of breaking news here. I think it was just precaution. I think he's fine. He's just resting up. Yeah. If he does continue, surely he's got to go to 168 super middle, Chris. Surely, or not? What do you think? What's your take?
Well, like we discussed with Elliot on our Instagram.
Go and watch that, by the way. ESBR We'll better plug that quick. ESBR Boxing. Yeah. We always go on there. Check them out as well.
Yeah, channel. We'll put a link in the description. But yeah, I think it was just the contract said that it's exactly the same terms for the rematch.
Oh yes,
so
of course,
Eubank Jr. gets the lion's share of the money, like he did this time, but more. I'm guessing, but the rehydration clause is exactly the same, and the weight things exactly the same. So all this shit, you'd have to do it again if Conor Benn gets the rematch. So there's no point in saying he's got to do one. Like, yeah, he shouldn't take, but he has got no choice. If Conor Benn evokes that rematch clause, he's got to take it, and he's got to make the weight the same way.
It's a good point, that, by the way. I suppose if the rematch doesn't happen, I mean, I think it just makes too much money for it not to happen. And I just think Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn are going to really push for that. They're going to scream from thy mountains for that fight, Chris. That's for sure. My next question here is we were talking about this a lot anyway. Everyone's been talking about this. Everything was against Eubank Jr. in this fight, and it will be for a rematch as well, as you've just stipulated in the negotiations for the rematch of the contract anyway. Everything was against him. 18-foot ring, all the moody kind of scale and weight shenanigans and the rehydration clause. Everything's against him, but he still won, Chris, and he still won, and fairly convincingly as well. Like, how impressive was that win for Eubank Jr., given all of the circumstances and hardships he had to endure?
It was really impressive, but the thing is, for me, do you know why he won? Do you know why he won the fight?
Experience, jab,
experience, and he got in Conor Benn's head.
I've got a question about this later. Yeah.
Conor Benn's head, right? That first round, he came out like a maniac.
Oh,
and he was getting
twitchy, wasn't he? Twitchy as fuck.
The second round, obviously, he was winning these rounds, but he was coming out and he was wasting so much energy.
Yeah,
he was fainting. And Eubank wasn't even falling for the feints. Yeah. and this is the thing as well. He was so angry.
Yeah.
And Eubank Jr. kept talking to him. So you could see him. You could see Conor
Benn. I noticed that.
And then so he was talking to him, winding him up, and then you'd see him. He'd do his little James Brown moves, like dancing all over the place. And then what did he do? Overhand right and miss.
Done that a few times. He's done that a few times.
And he kept on doing it. And Chris Eubank Jr. just kept on winding him up like a little Tonka toy. He kept going, oh, I thought he was going to knock me out. Just winding him up, saying shit to him. And Conor Benn was like, shut up. And then he's just throw an overhand right. Or just, he didn't jab hardly at all. He didn't follow his coach's instructions going to the body. He just kept seeing him, getting wound up and throwing a fucking big right.
Cajun probably got to him a little bit. I've got some questions when we come back to Ben on that, so you can riff a bit more on that when we get back to it.
I don't think the occasion got to him. I think his own temper got to him.
Oh, yeah.
And like, I know his dad was a ferocious fighter, but you can't load up on every single shot every time. Like, and they're not even there to hit. Do you know what I mean? If he didn't land the first 6 times, he's not going to keep landing.
But a lot of adjustments, Ben. That's the thing. I'll get onto this anyway because there's a few points. There's definitely more that Ben can do to learn going to the next one. So I noticed something a little bit. I think this made the performance a bit more impressive from Eubank Jr. I thought kind of sort of after midway through, even though he won a lot of mid rounds, his legs seemed to be going a little bit. And I think he alluded to it in one of the post-fight interviews that his legs were sort of going a bit. I think that makes the performance and the win even better because, you know, I think it's so important in boxing, especially when you've got a fast, explosive fighter like Conor Benn not leaving you alone all night. But did you notice that, Chris, in the fight, that his legs looked a little bit compromised?
Round. Wait, let me see. Round Ben. Oh, it was like round 7.
Yeah, mid to late rounds, wasn't it?
But it was quite funny because what happened is Eubank Jr. his legs had gone. He couldn't stay on the outside and jab. So he thought, you know what?
Plan B.
If I lean on him, he's not going to be able to get his shots off, or I'll just start working because like Eubank was doing a Joe Calzaghe. He was slapping the shit out of him, and then on the last punch of the combination, he was putting a bit of sting on it. So he was pacing himself again, where Conor Benn was throwing everything he had into every single punch.
Kitchen sink.
As Eubank's legs got tired, Conor Benn started gassing in round 8, so he couldn't move. And he couldn't bounce around like he was. So it was just who. So they just dug deep, and it was like who had the faster hands. And Eubank was more slippery. Like Conor Benn's been doing imagine doing 1,000 burpees like every round.
Oh,
for 8 rounds, and then get into the 8th, and you're like, I can't do no more. I can't be bothered to bend. He's standing straight up, standing square on. When he got hit with the uppercut, he was stood square on because he just didn't have the energy. I think it was around 9.
Took it well though.
To step back.
His punch resistance impressed me coming up. But yeah, anyway, when we go on to Ben, we'll talk about that. I think, did I talk about punch? I'll just write that down quick. So there was a question we were sort of texting, and you said there's a question you wanted me to ask you there. You wanted to know a bit about what was going on with the canvas, the print and the canvas, or something you were talking about.
What the hell was the deal with that?
Go on.
Every fight, they kept slipping on it, falling over on it.
I noticed that. Was a problem. I noticed that throughout the night. Loads of slips everywhere.
Yeah. And this isn't the first time it's happened on a Saudi card. I can't remember which one it was. It might be one of the Usyk Fury fights. And the same thing was happening. There's something up with the print, and they kept slipping on it. Like, what's the deal with that? It's like, I know you want to put your logo on there and all that, so everyone can see, make it fighters first for fun. I'm gonna chuck a little bit of tongue in cheek out there, but you don't reckon, you know what's going on with all these kind of moody rehydration clauses and scales. You don't reckon Eddie Earn and his team slipped a little bit of Vaseline across that canvas in the hope that as Conor Benn's chasing him around all night, he's hoping that the older boy, his legs are not what they used to be. He's drained of the weight. Thought maybe we'd get him to slip over a few times. I'll just put that out there, Chris, just for a laugh. You never know.
Bit of Vaseline across the whole canvas, you know.
It was just terrible, man. They just kept on slipping on it, man. And then they didn't want to stand in the center of the ring and like avoiding it. Like, oh, man.
Logo, all this branding getting in the way, all these sponsorships and logos. Anyway, by the way, Boxing Bros UK, little logo at the top left. If you make sure you like and subscribe. All right, I already know the answer to this because we've discussed this anyway. This is making me laugh. Would you like to see an end to rehydration clauses in general, Chris?
100%. There should not be rehydration clauses at all. They should be banned. They should either go back to same-day weigh-ins, but then everyone would have to move up a weight class because they all rehydrate.
20, 30 pounds all the time, isn't it, generally?
Yeah. Or just get away, do away with them. Even the IBF, it's wrong. It's not healthy. You've seen Eubank Jr. He was half of Eubank. He was about 60%. There was a reason why he wasn't like throwing any mustard on any of his shots because he was pacing himself and winning the rounds by Joe Calzaghe in it and slapping him up. And he looked busier, like he was landing the more shots, and then he'd dig in and turn over on a few.
It's difficult to argue with it. The only kind of counter punch or a devil's advocate piece I can have is what would we, because I suppose the reason why these things happen, the reason why the IBF does it, and the reason why these clauses come in a contract is to stop weight bullies. Like Benavidez often gets referred to as a bit of a weight bully, doesn't he? Particularly when he was at super middleweight. I don't think he'd be able to do that at light heavy. But I guess my counter question would be, how would we deal with potential weight bullies, coming in, massive the next time? What would we do about that? Or can't we?
There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do about it. Like, this is my take on it, yeah? If you want to fight at middleweight, then fight at middleweight. If you think you're good enough, do the camp, eat the extra food, do the extra training, fight at middleweight, yeah? But there are weight classes for a reason. So if you get knocked the fuck out, then that's on you. You're there to be great. That's it. You tried. But you can't say, right, I'll fight at middleweight, but you can't get this big because it's just unhealthy. It's not like, just if that's what you want to fight, that's it. Yeah. And don't, because then you sort of ruin your win, because no matter what, forever, yeah, if Conor Benn won that fight, yeah, he would not get credit for it because everyone would say the only reason you won is because your weight drained you.
I know.
So it's absolutely the worst for Conor Benn that he weight drained him and still lost.
Yeah.
And Eubank Jr. shell of himself.
And I think
that is the worst Jr. I've ever seen.
And that's because we know, and we spoke about this on ESBR, didn't we? That if he could fully rehydrate the next day, I mean, Eubank Jr. would have been even more effective. And when he had him badly hurt in the 12th round, he probably would have stopped him. So, off the back of what you were saying, though, I think this is keep this simple, as you say, to stop all this nonsense happening. But like, if you're struggling to make middleweight, for example, 160, right, especially as you get older, we know you start carrying muscle mass and kind of extra fat generally as you get a little bit older in your mid to late 30s and stuff like that. Just go up to super middleweight, like heavyweight. But I'm not going to be as big. I'm going to be at a disadvantage. But it's the only way, Chris, because if you're going to go life and death to get down to some of these welterweight, middleweight, and you're struggling, and then you're going to bitch about IBF having a rehydration clause, then don't bloody be at middleweight. It's simple, isn't it?
Exactly. It's making it so overcomplicated.
Yeah.
And it's not. And do you know the worst thing, yeah? The worst thing, yeah. Eddie Hearn said in the rematch, I think if we want to make it really fair, we should go back to the original weight that was agreed, which is 150.
Oh, the catch weight. Fuck off. Eubank Jr. can't even make 160, let alone fucking 157. What the fuck? Yeah.
That's what he said. That's what he swear to. That's what he said.
Yeah.
And then there was like, what do you mean am I serious? Did you see the engine on him? He wasn't weight drained. He was absolutely fine. He can go
I'll tell you what, the I know. Look, we're both big fans of Eddie Hearn. Like, shoot us down for it. I like him as a promoter, but he is a snake oil salesman if ever I've seen one, isn't he? He could sell fucking sand to the Arabs. That man, I'm telling you. Like bloody Nora. Oh yeah, he'll be fine at 157. It was fucking once he could. Eubank Jr. is one of the fittest, hardest working athletes in general I've ever seen. I mean, this guy, like, for what he goes to get down to that weight now, and particularly with all these rehydration clauses, and then you're going to say, "Oh, I want to make it really, really fair." That's where they bring him back down to 157. What do they want him to come in the ring in a bloody wheelchair because he can't walk? He's so fucked.
No. Like, it's
just kind of in general, they're kind of all the questions I generally had. But anything you wanna round up with, or any just thoughts off the top of your head?
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to see this fight again.
Oh.
I think that none of like he honoured his family. He showed heart and determination and grit to last the 12 rounds, and he tried his best. But there's weight classes for a reason, and I think he needs to move down to light middleweight or try and go back down to welterweight. But he needs to do it gradually and easing and healthily. But this fight, not again. Forget it. And Eubank Jr., I think he's on about getting himself a Canelo payday after his fought.
Well, that's the fight I'd love to see. I'd love to see if Hamza Shiraz comes through the Balanga fight at super middle. I'd love to see that domestic dust up between Eubank Jr. and Hamza at super middle as well, because I don't know. I quite like that fight. I know Frank Warren would really.
Eubank Jr. is not going to fight Balanga. He won't fight him.
Well, hopefully Hamza gets for it, but I'm not even sure Hamza. Anyway, that's a separate video. I'm not even sure. But I'm surprised I'm admitting this, because I think a lot of people want to see it again, and I don't know what other YouTubers out there made as good as it was. And I just want to give, because Eubank Jr. brilliant performance. I also think Conor Benn made a really good account. He tried. You could not take anything. We can talk about the fundamentals and the IQ and the blowing his load and all the rest of it, but he gave absolutely everything. And even Eubank Jr. said after, like, he wasn't expecting that. He wasn't expecting. I think he was expecting a different fight, or maybe a different. I think he said something like, "I was expecting to break Conor down early, and he surprised me." So that's a big statement. But I don't want to see it again, Chris. I really don't want to. I've seen everything. I loved it. I don't want to see it again. Not with those moody rehydration clauses. Chris Eubank Jr. isn't getting any younger. He's going to be in hospital till tomorrow. Don't know if people know. I know it's precautionary, but that tells me they just want to check all his vitals are okay. I don't want to see it again. There's too much politics and too much rubbish and nonsense around it. I think, like you said, Conor Benn go back down to 147 gradually. Forget 154. There's too many killers there. Virgil Ortiz, but Ennis is going to move up. Boachuk, Madrimov. No, forget it. And Chris Eubank Jr., if he wants to carry on for a few more years, I'd go up to super middleweight and do a bit there. I don't want to see that rematch at all. And I'm really conclusive on that. And people are probably going to hate on me for it, but I don't want to see it.
Yeah, we're seeing it now. We're seeing it.
Yeah.
And if that was Conor Benn's best chance, if he can't do it then he's never going to be able to do it.
He can make a load of adjustments and improve, Chris, but I don't think it'll be enough. Yeah. So, right. Well, hopefully you all enjoyed that. Our thoughts on it. Yeah, like and sub, please. We're trying to get to 1,000. Our next goal is to get to 1,000, 1K, that milestone. So if anybody who's just, and I know who you are, you're watching it, you're checking us out, and you can't be bothered to press the like, or right, it's right there. Just press it like that, right? It really helps. Yeah.